Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name is Bob, I'll be your host. And welcome back to the June Storm. I've designated June to be a themed month, and this year I'm taking a look at different homebrew stuff that I've put together over the years. And it's the end of the month, but if you're a content creator that does tabletop role-playing content, then I urge you to share some of your own homebrew to help show people just what you can do with your role-playing games. So, in this video, it's going to be my last episode for this year's June Storm. I'd planned to do a lot more videos than what I have this year, but as is always the case, life got in the way. But in this video, I'm going to talk about my own role-playing game rules that I put together. And anybody that plays tabletop role-playing games for an extended period of time will at some point find themselves wanting to put together their own game, their own rules. And maybe they wish to publish them, maybe they just wish to use them, who knows. At one point I thought about publishing the rules I wrote, but never got around to it. I procrastinate and never really knew how to go about it. So let's just talk about what I got. This game, it went through several iterations, and I used these rules for several different types of games. A science fiction game, and a superhero game. And the superhero game is the one that I fleshed out more and really put my ideas together right. I wrote a background as to how the heroes, the superpowered entities, were in like the days of early man, how they were feared and hunted down as witches and other things, and came into their own. And by the 21st century, heroes were everywhere, superpowered beings. So let's take a look at character creation first, because it just being a collection of notes, I don't have any artwork for it, no date of publication or anything like that. So let's look at the attributes first. First, you have your strength, which is self-explanatory. Your strength will help you determine how much damage you do in hand-to-hand combat and with hand-to-hand weapons. Your intelligence determines how many skills your character can learn. You can learn like 2 points of skill, 2 different skills per point of intelligence. Your speed will help determine how fast you can move around. Your endurance will help determine what your character's target number is, and the target number is what others need to roll in order to score a hit on you in combat. Endurance will also tell you how many rounds you can max out on different abilities and so forth. Your courage is rolled when you're facing impossible odds and so forth. And then we have humanity, if you're a humanoid type character, a living creature, or circuitry if you're a robotic creature. And this tells you how many powers and abilities you can have for your character. And finally, your skill determines how good you are at using the skills you know. After you have, and to determine these, they range from 1 to 10. You get 30 points to split up amongst them. And you also get some bonus points for them from your hero type and the occupation you pick at character creation. You pick an alignment. There are 6 alignments in this game. 3 core alignments that are broken up into 2 bits. First, you have your good alignments, which are chivalrous and beneficial. You have your self-centered alignments, which are loner and carefree. You have your corrupt alignments, which are power mad and warrior. And after you have your alignment, you'll want to pick a hero type. And the types of heroes you have to pick from in this game are the modern mystic, the mutant, superhuman, cyborg, alien, supernatural, special training, robot, and sentient mecha. And each of these will tell you how many hit points you start with and what your hit points can max out at. It also tells you what your starting willpower is and what your willpower can max out at. And it gives you some bonus points for your attributes. It also gives you some special abilities. After you have your hero type, you'll want to pick an occupation. I got all kinds of occupations written out. Your occupation will tell you how much money you have, and it'll also tell you, it will give you some more points to add to your attributes at character creation. You'll then get 5 skills. 3 of those skills are determined by the occupation you pick. The other 2 you get to pick for free. After that, you have to buy experience with experience points and so forth. After your skills, you get 300 generation points, and the generation points are used to buy more powers, attribute points, and skills and so forth for your character at character creation. And then you do equipment, and that's pretty much it for character creation. Now, as you go and build your character, you can buy things that are outside of your hero type. Like if you choose a modern mystic, which is basically a magic user, you can get mutations. But that doesn't necessarily make you a mutant, even though you're kind of a mutant because you got mutant powers. But you're still considered a modern mystic. And the types of powers that I have in this game, I have cybernetics, I have mutations, I have enhanced attributes, I have mental powers, supernatural powers, and magic. Magic could be considered a supernatural power, but it's considered its own thing in this game. Now, when you go to do things in this game, you'll usually make an attribute test. And the way you make an attribute test is you roll a 12-sided die, and you have to roll equal to or under your attribute score. So if you have an attribute of 5, you have to roll a 5 or less on a 12-sided die. And 12 is always going to be a failure, and 1 is a critical hit, or a critical success. And you can get bonuses on certain things that can take your attribute up a couple of points. It can't be listed any higher than 11, though, for a check. 12 will always be a failure no matter what. For combat, the combats I try to keep pretty simple. And first off, everybody has their own target number. Your target number is determined by your endurance score added with the armor rating of any type of armor you're wearing, plus any bonus from skill you might get. And an attacking character has to roll a 20-sided die and score over your target number in order to hit you. And for damage, you don't roll random damage in this game. All firearms and so forth have a set number for their damage, and that's how much damage you do. Your hand-to-hand combat, though, and your hand-to-hand weapons, it uses your strength bonus, and it adds a number to it. And that's your damage for hand-to-hand combat. It gives a little bit of random there for that. So that's pretty much it as far as the actual rules go. And I've got a bunch of equipment written up for the game. I wrote up some super teams and personalities that you could run into. And that was the superhero game I put together. And like I said, I used the rules for a sci-fi game as well. And I thought about publishing it years ago, but never brought myself really to do it. And after the OGL scandal came out and everybody was talking about rushing out to create the next Dungeons and Dragons, I thought about maybe seeing if I could get my rules published, but again, decided against it. I think if I were going to do that, I'd change some things up, like combat, I would change it from a 20-sided die to a 12-sided die, so that way it would just be a D12 system total, and D12 would be the only die you use. And I'd have to shift a few things to make that work. And I thought about changing the attributes a bit, but other than that, it pretty much remained the same. But that was my foray into trying to create my own game. Have you ever thought about creating your own game? I'm sure you have if you played for a long time. Everybody's got their own ideas. But thank you for joining me at looking back at this old memory. And hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.